You lost 13.6 pounds and 5 inches off your waist, and you didn't feel like you were starving?
It surprised me so much.
What are the sort of non-scale victories that we can talk about?
Yeah, so something that a lot of people don't love to talk about, but is a very real thing in postpartum is low libido. It was impacting my marriage, and it was a struggle because I felt like something was wrong with me. I mean, I clearly love my husband. I don't know what's going on. Like, there was just no desire to do anything really. And once he started seeing the results that I was seeing, he was like, "This is amazing. You need to keep doing this. You're feeling so much better, you're a happier person, and you're just so much more yourself." And so my libido definitely increased and my marriage definitely got infinitely better.
Hi, and welcome to the BODi Experience. Here's something I bet you never thought about. You know, when you go to the pharmacy and you pick up a prescription and it sort of just looks like someone's behind the counter putting pills in bottles the doctor writes the prescription that you can't read, but then, there's somebody back there in a white coat putting pills in a bottle. Like, how hard can that be, right? Well, did you know that pharmacist actually has around 6 to 8 years of training to be certified as a pharmacist? Like, that's about the same amount of time that it takes to become a doctor. And I didn't know that. I didn't know they were that educated. Well, that's why today's guest is so interesting, because not only is she the mother of a 10-month-old baby girl and a recent Belle Vitale success story, but she's actually a pharmacist, which I find really interesting because she represents sort of next level scrutiny, especially when it comes to the Belle Vitale supplements, which we'll talk about in a second. Okay, please welcome pharmacist, mom, and Belle Vitale success story, Kenzi Hinchliffe, to the podcast. Did I say that right, Kenzie?
Yes, you did. Hi, Carl.
Hinchliffe. Okay. Hi. Before we get into the program and the results, I want to understand what was going on that made you even apply to test a women's hormone health, nutrition, and fitness and stress reduction program. What was going on?
So prior to pregnancy, I have struggled with hormone health issues pretty much my whole life, but I was on birth control for a very long time. So I came off of it. I wanted to learn my cycle. I did that successfully, but I was still struggling with really bad acne that was creating cysts in my face that would require like long doses or long stretches of antibiotics. And that was a struggle for me and my confidence. Fast forward to becoming a mom, I got this application for the hormone health program, and I also was struggling with being so hungry all the time. I would eat a meal and I would immediately pick up the fork for more food because I was not satiated at all and I could not figure it out. Obviously, when you're a mom, you're also very exhausted and tired. So that was something I was struggling with. I had lost some weight, but I was really struggling with some midsection weight that I could not get off no matter what I was doing. I had done the ultimate reset. I was really struggling. And so those were just some of what I was feeling like could make me a good candidate for the hormone health program.
That's interesting. So you went through the ultimate reset is sort of a for people who don't know, like a cleanse type of program. I don't think you don't fast. You're still eating some small foods, but you needed some more, right? And you said your energy was a little off.
Yes. Well, I was a new mom, so I think
Yeah.
that's to be expected, but it was more than just feeling tired from having a baby. I literally couldn't find time to just make a meal for myself, or like every time my daughter took a nap, I wanted to take a nap, and it just wasn't like me. I've always been a go-getter. I've always been somebody who prior to pregnancy, I was waking up at 4 a.m. and I was doing my workouts first thing in the morning, and I just wanted to feel like myself again, and I just could not figure it out for the life of me. And so I said I wanted to do this program because I wanted to see if this was going to be what would change it for me.
Were you doing anything else postpartum before you chose this?
Yeah, I started working out as soon as I was cleared. I feel like movement is really good for me and my mental health.
Mm.
So postpartum is a very tough area for women, and so I wanted to make sure that I was moving my body, but I wasn't being consistent. I was making a lot of excuses. I was definitely not eating the way that I should, which was why I decided to do the Ultimate Reset. And I had had good results with Ultimate Reset in the past. I still saw pretty decent results because the program works, but it just wasn't the answer I was looking for like a long-term solution.
Got it. Now, um, so enter Belle Vitale. And you don't know anything about it really. Like you probably got a little bit of a description when you were invited to apply. Um, as you were looking at it, because it's a 12-week commitment, so it's not something that you're dipping your toe in. At first impressions, how was this different from other programs that you've done, or why did you think that it was going to be the thing for you?
I think that like, when I first looked at it, I sat down, and just the fact that it has the nutrition, the workouts, and supplements all together, and it's a 12-week commitment, um, I just felt like, "Okay, if I can commit to this and I can prove to myself that I can feel better, then, like, anything is better than how I feel right now. So why not just give it a shot?" Um, I was very impressed by the fact that there was a pharmacist and, like, team of people working with Autumn, in order to create this, and I also thought it was amazing that we were getting this blood work, and I wanted to see what could happen with my cholesterol. My cholesterol has been something that I've struggled with for a very long time. I've always had bad LDL that has been high above 100, and doing this program was the first time I got it below 100.
Now, that's interesting because that really comes largely from nutrition. How did the nutrition plan work for you? Because it's interesting. I'm wondering how difficult it was because, especially if you're working like long shifts at a hospital, or I'm not sure what your job requires, but how did you manage to navigate 12 weeks of a very prescriptive, if you will, nutrition program when you got a full time job and an 8, 9 month year old?
So, I'll be completely honest, I almost said no to the program once I was accepted because I said, "12 weeks." I started the same week that I started Belle Vitale. I also started working again after maternity leave. So it had been 6 months, and I was going back to work for the first time. I also worked long shifts, like you said, Carl, at the hospital. I would do 7 days on, 1 p.m. to 11, and I commuted into Boston. So my days were like about 13 hours. And I would do 7 days off. Of course, my 7 days off were beautiful, but the 7 days on were always really, really hard for me, and so I was nervous that I wasn't going to be able to commit. My biggest fear was that with the intermittent fasting, I would not be able to hold off on eating because I was working till 11 PM. I was worried that I would want a snack after dinner because it's just always been what I've done, because that's the nature of being a shift worker and working till 11. You eat and you snack with your coworkers to stay up, and you're chatting and living the dream. So I was very, very nervous, but that once I got through that first 7-day stretch and I shared in the group that I finished it and I was able to successfully, intermittent fast, everyone was cheering me on. I knew I had this in the bag. I was like, "Let's go. I feel so good. I'm ready to continue doing this."
That blows my mind because you said in your bio that you were never hungry, but you lost 13.6 pounds and 5 inches off your waist, and you didn't feel like you were starving. Did that surprise you?
It surprised me so much. I didn't think I could lose that much weight and not feel hungry constantly. And like when I'm telling you that I was struggling, I think a lot of women will agree that when you go from breastfeeding to not breastfeeding, it's hard because in breastfeeding, you're feeding two people, and you need to sustain, like, you have to have enough nutrients in your body to create food for your baby. And so I was eating constantly when I was breastfeeding. Like, I would finish a meal and then still be hungry. And it just kind of continued when the breastfeeding stopped, which was a bad habit to continue. And I was no longer needing that energy and that food, but I was still picking up the fork to eat more, and I was feeling bad about myself because it was not helping me feel any better. So, to be able to eat a meal and then literally not think about food for the next 4 hours until the next meal was mind-blowing for me, but also gave me such a sense of relief that I hadn't felt in so long.
That's awesome. Now, okay, so we got a decent picture, intermittent fasting, follow the nutrition plan. You're also trying a totally unique approach to fitness that combines lifting and some cardio, but this really different approach to Pilates at home that you would normally have to go get a reformer or some very expensive Pilates equipment. You're doing that at home. What was that like? And what were your first impressions?
Absolutely incredible. Blew my mind. Autumn is so innovative with the technology that she brings to us to put right in our home, for such an affordable price. It's literally insane. I was very nervous, I'll be honest. I'm very much a 30-minute and under kind of workout girl. So when I saw that the workouts were like 45 minutes sometimes to an hour for total, body Pilates, I was very, very nervous. I was like, "How am I gonna make it through this?" But I just held on to how good I was feeling and how strong I was feeling, and the thing that I love about the track is that when you're doing the movements, personally for me, I didn't feel like it was super difficult in the movement, but then afterwards, the burn is incredible. Like, I would be so sore and I would just be craving that next day's workout. So, I feel like I've always loved lifting, so that part I didn't struggle with at all. But then when I started using the track, I was just absolutely blown away at how incredible, and I've never done, a Pilates class in person, so I have no idea if it's comparable or not, but it's such a good workout.
That's awesome. Now, as a pharmacist, there's supplements in the program. I wonder what your opinion of those supplements was. We've got the daily hormone and stress support to help combat the effects of stress and support healthy cortisol levels. And then there's the daily metabolism and blood sugar support that I think people are
Mhm.
going to freak out about, to
Absolutely.
enhance your body's natural ability to burn fat, improve your metabolism, and support healthy blood sugar by reducing sugar spikes. Um, what do you think of the supplements?
I think they're incredible. I personally like being a pharmacist, we really don't focus on herbal medicine because we are modern medicine people, right? But I'm not by any means saying that there's not a space for herbal and functional medicine. It's such a cool area and it's so important. And it's so important to take your body and find the root cause of what you're feeling and fix that root cause rather than just putting a band-aid on it with a new medication. So, even being a pharmacist, I'm not not anti-medication because I know that they have a place and a purpose, but I do feel like you as a human being have so much power, to take charge in your health by just making some small decisions and small choices, and these supplements will be a forever for me. I will never stop taking them. I was one of the people that led the charge to getting them after the, test group because I was like, how are we going to live without these supplements? I miss 1 dose and I'm like, how am I going to go without these for 6 months until the launch of the program? So,
Well, I'm glad we were able to accommodate that. But what other changes did you notice? You're married, new mom, a lot going on. Anything shift in your overall energy, your
mhm.
relationship? What are the sort of non-scale victories that we can talk about?
Yeah, so something that a lot of people don't love to talk about, but is a very real thing in postpartum is low libido. And so it was impacting my marriage, and it was a struggle because I felt like something was wrong with me. I was like, "What is wrong with me? I clearly love my husband. I don't know what's going on." Like, there was just no desire to do anything really, and once I actually sat my husband down prior to this program before starting it, and I was like, "Look, this is what I'm hoping to get out of it, and I really need your support." He tends to be the one that sometimes, leads me down the wrong path nutritionally, but I was like, "I really need your support. I really need you to, like, just back me up on this because I feel like it's gonna be beneficial for the both of us." And once he started seeing the results that I was seeing, He was like, "This is amazing. You need to keep doing this. You're feeling so much better. You're a happier person, and you're just so much more yourself." And so my libido definitely increased, and my marriage definitely got infinitely better.
That's awesome. Now, what do you do when the program sort of wraps up? Like you get go 12 weeks. Is it back to normal? Have you adjusted things in your lifestyle?
So I've always been someone who's done a nutrition program and then stopped. And so
Mm,
even with the gut protocol, I had done the gut protocol and I stopped. And it's never served me. And so this time I kind of fell into that same thing. I stopped for 1 week and I was like, no, absolutely not. I already feel terrible. I had also had this like really bad rash postpartum on my forehead that I could not figure out. And no doctors could figure it out either. They just kept giving me steroid creams and hydrocortisone and all the things. And I was like, I don't know what this is. As soon as I was on the nutrition program for Belle Vitale, gone, completely
mm,
gone. And so now I'm like, why would I continue to do this? So I had actually like introduced gluten right away and immediately rash back. And so
mm.
I've gone completely back to I'm actually finishing up phase 2 right now, again, and I actually feel my best in phase 2, and I've talked with Autumn about that, like, everybody kinda has, a different spot where they have, like, that sweet spot because 'cause we're all different, and I feel my best when I'm on phase 2 with a little bit higher fat and lower carb, and so that's kind of where I'm gonna stay to continue feeling my absolute best.
Look, just to sort of wrap this up, you had a great experience. It's obviously anybody who does another round of it, they they had success. What would you say to people who are contemplating this at home, but again, daunted by a 12-week program that is as comprehensive as this one? Um, how would you advise them?
I would say, look, 12 weeks of feeling like crap like you have been is just as hard as making a change, if not harder, probably harder, as making this change and committing to it. Because as soon as you start, the first day is hard, the second day is hard, but the third day gets easier and the fourth day gets easier. And as you go on, you crave the feeling of becoming yourself again and feeling like, you're getting back your body back to the way that it's supposed to operate, right? And you're reducing all this inflammation in your body that shouldn't be there, and you're just feeling so good, you're not gonna wanna stop. So, what I would say is just stop doubting yourself and your ability and just do the dang thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kenzie. I really appreciate you sharing your experience with us. And okay, look, if you want to know more about Belle Vitale, it's out and you can start learning more about it. You go to bellevitale.com. But the program just launched, and I think it's going to be the hot product in health and fitness in 2025. We got success stories like Kenzie, and we're going to have thousands of others as people go through this. Incredible program that will literally change everything. And when you do the program, or if you have any great BODi experience that you'd like to share, I want to hear about it. And you can submit your story to @BODi Stories on Instagram, and the team will take a look and maybe you could be on the next podcast. But that's it for today. Another Belle Vitale success story. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Kenzie. And I hope it continues to go great for you. And I'll see everybody next time on the BODi Experience.